Three things are unavoidable: death, taxes, and Nicki and Cardi beefing out of the blue. In a video that's gone viral, the two rappers were seen at each other's throats. The worst part? They're not done yet. They're bringing their kids into the mix, and it's getting uglier by the second. We've got the full scoop here, so let's get into it. The feud reignites. In late September 2025, the simmering tension between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B exploded in a way that even longtime followers of their rivalry hadn't anticipated. For nearly a decade, their names had been tethered together in hip-hop discourse. But what unfolded at the close of September marked a new, darker chapter. It began with Cardi's highly anticipated sophomore album, Am I the Drama?, which dropped on September 27, 2025. The rollout was aggressive: discounted pricing, viral challenges, carefully timed teasers, and heavy fan engagement. The results spoke for themselves. Cardi pulled in 228,000 first-week units, landing her at the top of the Billboard 200. But instead of congratulatory messages, the album's success set off Nicki Minaj. On September 30th, Nicki took to X, formerly Twitter, with a barrage of posts that have since been deleted, but not before being screenshotted and shared across the internet. Her tone was mocking and aggressive, accusing Cardi of inflating her numbers with streaming farms and cheap sales tactics. The jab wasn't just at Cardi's artistry. It dragged in Jay-Z and Roc Nation president Desiree Perez, reinforcing Nicki's long-standing belief that Roc Nation has artificially elevated Cardi's career. Nicki's choice of insults quickly spiraled. She mocked the album's $4.99 sale price, labeled Cardi Barney Dangerous, and paired the insult with a meme of Barney the dinosaur wearing a wig. The cartoonish imagery carried a sting because Nicki had used the same reference back in 2018 after the infamous New York Fashion Week altercation.
And this got so nasty. It got really nasty because Nicki tweeted that Cardi sounds like Barney the dinosaur when she raps.
Cardi, never one to let an insult sit, clapped back almost immediately. In a series of posts, she framed Nicki's behavior as obsessive. Her tone, equal parts irritated and dismissive, reminded fans of the Cardi who once turned every Instagram live into viral material. Even while fighting online, Cardi couldn't resist inserting a slice of everyday life into her response.
I was really baking ribs and making blondie brownies, and here come this bee bothering me on a damn Monday.
But beneath the humor, there was a growing discomfort about how fast the exchanges were turning ugly. By the evening of September 30th, Nicki escalated. Her tweets weren't just about sales or Roc Nation anymore. They turned deeply personal. She hurled accusations about Cardi's children, calling her daughter Culture a sympathy baby, and posted threats suggesting she'd kick Cardi B's child's gums. She nicknamed Cardi Cokie B, alleging drug use, and claimed Cardi underwent surgeries to look like her. She even dragged Cardi's partner, NFL player Stefon Diggs, into the mess, referencing unverified rumors about him. The escalation shocked fans and critics alike. Hip-hop feuds have always thrived on lyrical jabs, clever wordplay, and subliminals. But when children and families were brought into the mix, the tone shifted. One YouTube commentator captured that collective discomfort.
Cardi B and Nicki Minaj are going at it again.
Some crazy.
Nah, but this time though, like I feel like yesterday watching the two of them go back and forth, it was too far. They brought the kids into it.
The insults no longer felt like entertainment. They felt toxic. Fans who had once enjoyed the drama of Cardi versus Nicki began asking, had it finally gone too far? If Nicki thought her words would silence Cardi, she miscalculated. What came next from Cardi wasn't just a comeback. It was an escalation that pushed the feud into truly dangerous territory. Cardi answered Nicki's digs about her daughter Culture with brutal imagery of her own. She posted a photoshopped mugshot of Nicki's brother, Jelani Mirage, who had been convicted of child rape and sentenced to 25 years. But Cardi didn't stop there. She topped the image with one of Nicki's infamous wigs, turning the photo into a weaponized meme that dragged Nicki's family skeletons into the spotlight. For Cardi, this wasn't just retaliation. It was her way of signaling that if Nicki was willing to go after children, Cardi was prepared to cross that same line, no matter how damaging or offensive. And she doubled down with words that shocked even her own fans. Cardi alleged that Nicki's drug use had left lasting damage, not just to herself, but to her family. She claimed it caused infertility, seizures, and even impacted Nicki's son, Papa Bear. These were heavy, deeply personal accusations, touching on abuse, trauma, addiction, and Nicki's marriage to Kenneth Petty, himself a registered sex offender. It wasn't the kind of feud that could be laughed off or resolved with a diss track. It had become raw, ugly, and deeply human. One radio commentator put it bluntly.
And she says, listen, that's the last time you're gonna be mentioning my kids. We're not about to do that, basically. Nicki Minaj then calls culture ugly.
For a fan base used to clever wordplay, this was stomach-turning. The feud had left the realm of rap and entered a zone where trauma, family, and children were being used as ammunition. By October 1st, the vitriol only intensified. Nicki continued mocking Cardi's looks, alleging that she was falling off the charts, while Cardi hurled back names like Cocaine Barbie and accused Nicki of being a possessed drug addict.
Your hate is so deep and dark and nasty because your son is nonverbal because you effed him up with drugs, so you're jealous of everybody's kids and their happiness.
But perhaps the most explosive part was Cardi's open threat of physical violence. She posted that she was ready to fight Nicki for real, even if it meant going to jail. It wasn't just a diss, it was a personal attack designed to wound deeply. And as commentators pointed out, the timing made it even more surreal. Much of this unfolded on Nicki's son's birthday.
And, prayers to those women. But Cardi mentions, listen, it's your son's birthday because yesterday was Papa Bear's birthday.
Oh, wow.
The irony was bitter. While one rapper's child celebrated a birthday, their mothers were locked in a digital war that had pulled those very children into the battlefield. By the afternoon of October 1st, both appeared to hit a pause. Cardi posted a message that sounded final, urging Nicki to seek therapy. Nicki, meanwhile, deleted many of her most vicious tweets, but by then the damage was already done. Screenshots, reposts, and commentary had immortalized every insult. In the eyes of the public, this wasn't just another rap beef. This was the ugliest chapter yet in the long-running war between two of the most influential women in hip-hop. Where it all began, from motorsport to Fashion Week. To truly understand why the events of 2025 hit so hard, we have to rewind almost a decade. The seeds of Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's rivalry weren't planted overnight. They were watered slowly, nurtured by rumors, fan speculation, and a music industry all too eager to pit two women against each other. Back in 2017, Cardi B was the breakout star of the year. Her smash single Bodak Yellow didn't just dominate clubs and radio, it climbed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making her the first female rapper in nearly 2 decades to achieve that feat solo. For many, it looked like Cardi was stepping into a lane that had long been Nicki's. Since her debut with Pink Friday, 2010, and hits like Anaconda, Nicki had reigned largely unchallenged as the queen of rap. At first, the tension was subtle. Nicki congratulated Cardi on the historic #1, but fans noticed small moments, like Nicki liking an Instagram comment that called one of Cardi's verses dumb *** bars. Rumors began to swirl. Was Nicki threatened by Cardi's success? The first flashpoint came with Migos' 2017 hit Motorsport. The track featured both Nicki and Cardi, but instead of symbolizing unity, it sparked whispers of tension. Nicki and Cardi reportedly shot their music video scenes separately, and interviews fueled the fire. Cardi suggested that Nicki had altered her verse after hearing hers, an implication that Nicki later said hurt her feelings. In a 2018 interview with Zane Lowe, Nicki opened up about how blindsided she felt. The only thing with Cardi that really hurt my feelings was the first interview she did after Motorsport came out. All of them allowed me to look like I lied. Cardi, for her part, tried to downplay things publicly. In one radio appearance, she insisted she didn't have beef with Nicki, saying she already had beef with 10 bitches in the hood and didn't need another one. But the narrative was already in motion. Two powerful women, both rising and ruling in rap, being positioned as rivals instead of allies. The simmering tension boiled over spectacularly in September 2018 during New York Fashion Week. At a Harper's Bazaar party, the feud turned physical. Cardi allegedly threw a shoe at Nicki, furious over rumors that Nicki had liked posts discrediting her as a mother. Cardi left the event with a visible knot on her forehead, which Nicki later mocked online by comparing her to Barney the dinosaur. Nicki used her Queen Radio platform to deny the accusations and flip the script, painting Cardi as a bully. She accused Cardi of using ghostwriters, paying for radio play, and suggested that her rival was more image than substance. The moment was a cultural earthquake. The imagery of two of the most successful female rappers physically fighting in gowns at Fashion Week became a permanent marker in their feud timeline. For fans, it cemented the rivalry as something more than industry gossip. It was real, visceral, and personal. And though no charges were filed, the fallout lingered. Legal threats were floated, and the internet divided sharply into two camps, the Barbs and the Bardi gang. From that night forward, it wasn't just Nicki versus Cardi. It was a full-on culture war. Commentators years later would point back to 2018 as the point of no return. What could have been a competitive but respectful rivalry had transformed into a bitter feud. And while there were short-lived truces in the aftermath, the wound never fully healed. After the dramatic Fashion Week shoe-throwing incident in 2018, many hoped Nicki Minaj and Cardi B would finally find a way to move past their differences. For a brief moment, it looked like they might. Both women posted statements suggesting they were moving on and wanted to focus on their music. But the reality was much different. The truce was short-lived, and in the years that followed, their rivalry mutated into a cycle of social media spats, subliminal lyrics, and carefully timed shade. Neither woman seemed willing to fully bury the hatchet, and the industry itself, along with their fan bases, constantly fanned the flames. By 2019, both were pursuing separate career moves. Cardi was basking in the success of her Grammy-winning debut album Invasion of Privacy, while Nicki leaned into her Queen Radio platform, often using it to air grievances and flex her dominance in rap. Though they didn't clash directly that year, the undertone of tension was always there, with fans reading between the lines of lyrics, interviews, and even outfits. The feud reignited in 2022 when Nicki accused Cardi of being an industry plant, a label often used to discredit an artist's organic rise. On Queen Radio, she tied Cardi's success to Roc Nation, Jay-Z's label, suggesting that Cardi was being propped up by powerful industry machinery. For Nicki's critics, it was a familiar pattern. She had made similar accusations against other rising stars before. For her fans, though, it was further proof that Cardi's career wasn't entirely authentic. Cardi responded the way she usually did, by pointing to her grassroots beginnings. From stripper to reality TV star to a #1 single, she reminded the world that her hustle was far from manufactured. Still, the back and forth once again split their fan bases into warring factions, each convinced their favorite was the real queen. In 2023, Nicki released Pink Friday 2, and fans thought they caught subliminal shots at Cardi. Tracks like FTCU contained lyrics about rivals falling off, which many interpreted as jabs in Cardi's direction. Cardi didn't address Nicki directly, but her verse on Glorilla's Tomorrow 2 included lines about being unbothered by rivals, which Bardi Gang framed as her way of brushing Nicki off. But the rivalry wasn't just about music anymore. Their feud had become cultural currency. Every time one of them went viral, fans dragged the other into the conversation. By 2024, the feud had gone quieter, but it never disappeared. Both rappers had growing families to focus on. Nicki gave birth to her son, Papa Bear, in 2020, and Cardi had expanded her family with Offset, welcoming Wave in 2021, and another child in 2024. Publicly, they looked like they were prioritizing their private lives, but the silence was deceptive. Underneath, small jabs still made their way online. Nicki ranted on social media about bots and Roc Nation plans, which fans interpreted as veiled shots at Cardi. Cardi, on the other hand, mocked Nicki's wigs and dismissed her as old and washed in late 2024. What's important to understand is that the feud didn't just survive those years, it evolved. The music industry is notorious for giving women little space to coexist at the top. Nicki had spent most of the 2010s as the lone dominant female rapper, clashing with pioneers like Lil' Kim and Remy Ma before facing Cardi's rise. Cardi, meanwhile, wasn't content to play second fiddle. She aligned herself with the next wave of rap stars, collaborating with Megan Thee Stallion on WAP and Bongos, records that Nicki's fans accused of copying her formula. At the same time, Nicki found herself at the center of multiple other feuds, with Megan Thee Stallion, Latto, and Doja Cat, among others. Her 2024 diss track Bigfoot targeted Megan in cruel fashion, reinforcing the narrative that Nicki couldn't handle competition without turning it into a war. By the time 2025 arrived, the rivalry with Cardi was like dry brush waiting for a spark. The industry, the fans, and even the two women themselves had kept the animosity alive, ensuring that all it would take was the right trigger for the fire to roar back. That trigger came in September 2025 when Cardi's Am I the Drama soared to the top of the charts. Media frenzy and fan wars. By the first week of October 2025, the Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B feud had taken over not just hip-hop spaces, but mainstream media headlines. What started as a heated exchange between two rappers snowballed into a spectacle, with entertainment blogs, YouTubers, and even traditional outlets like USA Today and Billboard scrambling to capture each twist in real time. Screenshots of Nicki's deleted tweets circulated on gossip accounts. Cardi's most vicious clapbacks were reposted across TikTok with dramatic edits, turning them into viral sound bites. Commentators filled live streams and podcasts with breakdowns of each insult, treating it like a rap version of a heavyweight fight. The escalation had crossed a line, and everyone knew it. Rap beefs are part of hip-hop's DNA, but dragging children into the crossfire created a level of discomfort that even hardcore fans couldn't laugh off. Still, the online fan bases, the Barbs and the Bardi Gang, treated the feud like open season. Social media became a battlefield. Memes flooded the timeline, ranging from doctored photos of Barney the dinosaur rapping to clips of Cardi dancing in her kitchen with captions about baking and beefing. But the memes also had a darker side. Supporters of each camp weaponized sensitive moments. Barb's resurfaced Cardi's old scandals involving lawsuits and fights with fans, while Barty Gang revived Nicki's brother's mugshot and Kenneth Petty's criminal record. What should have been playful online banter became cyberbullying campaigns that spilled over into real life. Some brands even got caught in the crossfire. When Cardi posted that she had been cooking while clapping back at Nicki, fans jokingly tagged DoorDash and Uber Eats in memes, pushing them to endorse the queen of multitasking. On the flip side, screenshots of Nicki's tweets mocking Roc Nation triggered calls from some fans to boycott streaming services believed to be aligned with Jay-Z. Media outlets didn't hesitate to frame the feud as cultural commentary. USA Today called it the ugliest chapter yet in the Nicki versus Cardi saga. Billboard traced the feud back through its long history, while hip-hop blogs like Hot New Hip Hop and The Shade Room dissected every insult like it was a lyric in a diss track. The commentary wasn't limited to music circles. Talk shows and mainstream podcasts debated whether the feud was just two artists blowing off steam or a sign of something deeper, about women in hip-hop being forced into rivalries, about the way social media amplifies negativity, and about the blurred line between entertainment and harm. This wasn't clever dissing. It was raw personal pain turned into ammunition. It left many questioning how far was too far. Meanwhile, fans argued endlessly about who had won. Some claimed Nicki's original shots proved she could still dominate the conversation. Others argued Cardi's clapbacks, mixed with her chart-topping album, made her the clear victor, but the truth was messier. Neither walked away unscathed. The feud had gone beyond lyrical sparring or even a physical altercation like 2018. This time, reputations were on the line, and every insult seemed to stick harder. By early October, one thing was clear. The world wasn't just watching a rap beef. They were watching a cultural flashpoint, one that revealed the pressures, pitfalls, and toxicity of being at the top of hip-hop in the social media age. As the dust began to settle in the days following the September 2025 explosion, one uncomfortable truth became clear. Neither Nicki Minaj nor Cardi B had truly won this round. The insults had gone too far, dragging families, children, trauma, and addiction into the fray. What was left wasn't just a bruised reputation for both women, but also a sobering reminder of how destructive rap beefs can become when they spill outside the music. For many observers, this feud marked a turning point. Rap rivalries have always been part of hip-hop's DNA, from Nas versus Jay-Z to Lil Kim versus Foxy Brown. But rarely had fans seen children invoked so directly as weapons in a lyrical and digital war. Critics from outlets like Billboard, The Cut, and USA Today framed it as a case study in how far social media could push artists to perform conflict for the crowd. Beyond the headlines, the impact rippled through the culture. Younger artists like Ice Spice, Latto, and JT found themselves caught in the orbit of the feud, with fans demanding they take sides. It reignited conversations about unity in female rap, a unity that many argued was badly needed at a time when women were finally dominating charts, festivals, and mainstream radio. Instead of solidarity, the spectacle reinforced the stereotype of there can only be one queen. At the same time, there was growing speculation about what would come next. Would this feud spill into music? Fans anticipated diss tracks, Cardi delivering Bronx-heavy bars aimed straight at Nicki responding with venom on Queen Radio, or a new freestyle. Some even predicted that the feud could push one or both rappers into legal trouble, especially given Cardi's open threats of physical violence. But there was also the possibility that the ugliness of this round might force a pause. Cardi herself seemed to hint at that when she posted what sounded like a final message: "This my last time responding to you. You need therapy." Fans debated whether this meant Cardi was bowing out of the beef, or whether it was just a temporary truce until the next spark reignited it. With Nicki deleting some of her most offensive tweets, it seemed even she recognized that the backlash was beginning to overshadow her intent. What's undeniable is that this feud will be remembered as one of the most chaotic and uncomfortable chapters in modern rap history, not because of its clever wordplay, but because of how personal it became. The moment children and families were dragged into the mud, the energy shifted from entertaining to alarming. And yet, paradoxically, this very ugliness cemented its cultural footprint. The memes, the trending hashtags, the endless breakdowns on TikTok and YouTube, all of it ensured that this feud will remain part of hip-hop lore, just like the Jay-Z versus, Nas diss wars of the early 2000s, or Drake versus, Meek Mill in the 2010s, Nicki versus. Cardi in 2025 became more than music. It became a mirror, reflecting the toxic mix of ego, fandom, and digital spectacle that defines this era. Looking ahead, the feud leaves open open questions. Will Nicki's upcoming 2026 album use music to address Cardi directly? Will Cardi flip the controversy into fuel for her next project? Or will both quietly step back, knowing they may have pushed things to a point of no return? Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. This rivalry has carved itself into the fabric of hip-hop history. It's not just about two women at the top of their game. It's about the systems, the pressures, and the culture that made this feud almost inevitable. And whether fans view it as tragic, toxic, or just plain entertaining, the 2025 eruption of Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's feud will go down as one of the defining moments of rap in the social media age. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to watch another fascinating video like this, click on one of the boxes on your screen right now.